You think you can make it?
I believe I'll make it.
There you go. Alright, where do you want to sit?
Yeah. We got plenty. Me too. I'll be sitting back. All right.
I thought we might be going this way. Also, everyone, I would stick the phone out, but they're not gonna let me. So, sad day, everyone. Sad day. So well. And here we got. Oh, this really is a Southern Caboose here. Yeah, this is we got a Southern Caboose. Southern. And oh, we got a Santa Fe Caboose too. They look pretty good. That is, I don't. There's that photographer again.
Yeah.
Silver Meteor.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good afternoon and welcome aboard the Great Smokey Mountain Railroad Tuckasegee River excursion. Our trip today will last approximately 4 hours. It will be a 32-mile round trip, 16 miles up, 16 miles back, along the Tuckasegee River to the town of Dillsboro, North Carolina. When we arrive in Dillsboro later this afternoon, we will have an hour-and-a-half stop. Allow you folks an opportunity to step off the train, grab you something to eat, something to snack on, do a little shopping before we come back to Bryson City this afternoon. As we make our way out of Bryson City, I do want to go over some of our safety regulations with you. We do ask that at all times during this event, you please keep your head, arms, and hands inside the train at all times. Now this is particularly important for those in the cars with the open and closed windows or our open air cars. Once again, please keep all body parts in the train at all times. In all of our passenger cars, please keep the center aisles clear at all times. Please do not stand in the aisles, do not congregate in the aisles. All carry-ons, bags, body parts, so on and so forth, please keep them out of the aisles at all times to allow safe passage for both your fellow passenger as well as members of our train crew. Parents, if you have small children that would like to stand on a seat in order to see better, that is perfectly fine, but we do ask that you please keep a loose arm around them as the train is subject to sudden movements.
Bro, this is a chair down there.
In all of our open air cars, please do not sit up on the top set of seats, and please do not sit up on the outer railings of the open cars. At all times during our trip today, we do ask that you please remain seated in the car that you are ticketed and assigned to at all times during our trip. Now the only exceptions to that is if you're coming back and forth from our concession car, or if you're having to go to another car to use the restroom facilities. Other than that, you must remain on the car you're assigned to at all times. Shoes must be worn at all times on board our train. There is no running on our train. Parents, if you have children ages 12 or younger, they must be escorted at all times.
So I just need a... Sorry. Alright.
There's these mimosa trees hanging over the river over there.
That's where they went.
Their camera don't work now. We did TV. That's a grumpy bear campground.
Was constructed back in 1900. Now, a couple of things to take note of as we go across this trestle is when we come out on the trestle, if you look out onto the left-hand side behind the Tuckasegee River, when we get out on the trestle, now depending on the vegetation and the growth of it right now this time of the year, you may see some remnants of old junk cars that are stacked up in the bank over there underneath the highway. Now, this stack of cars was actually placed here intentionally by the state of North Carolina and the DOT back in the 1960s as a form of erosion control to keep Highway 19 from eroding down into the river below. Back during those times, the most cost-efficient way to stabilize a bank was to take old junk cars, wrecked cars, scrap cars, and essentially stack them on top of each other. Now here in Western North Carolina, we call this a redneck retaining wall. Now these cars have been in place all these years and have more than done their job, but also gives you a little imagination as to how we had to improvise things back over 50 years ago in this part of the Western North Carolina. Now on the right-hand side, this also makes for a very good photo opportunity of the Tuckasegee River going downstream with the mountains in the background. As we are crossing the trestle, once again, just please keep your head, arms, and hands inside the train as we go across.
That's Sasquatch, you see it? Stand behind Sasquatch.
Yep.
What? Cut off. Probably just escaped from it.
116-mile section of track between Astro, North Carolina and Murphy, North Carolina, known as the Murphy Branch. Now the town of Whittier was a division change point on the Murphy Branch. Now the division change point basically meant that trains would actually meet here in downtown Whittier, and the crews would actually swap out with each other so they could go back to their home base, home terminal. This way it just kept them out from being away from home for prolonged periods of time. Now Whittier was a bustling railroad town, accommodating anywhere between 6 to 12 freight and passenger trains back in its heyday. Whittier was also an overnight layover location for many passenger trains and freight trains, with the crews and the passengers spending the night here, utilizing several boarding houses that was built around the tracks. Now, some of these boarding houses, at least a couple of them, are still standing today that was built from the 1800s, one of which will be on the left-hand side. And the one on the left-hand side had a fully functional coffee shop and restaurant down in the main floor. And then a much larger one on down the tracks here on the right-hand side was the largest boarding house in Whittier. And they had the coffee shop, restaurant, but it also had a full-service barbershop and hair salon located down in the ground floor. Now, the town of Whittier is also our special event area. Every year, during the months of November and December, the entire town of Whittier, even the residential homes, are transported and transformed into the North Pole for our ever-popular Polar Express train rides. The community of Whittier comes together with the railroad and decorate their entire homes on both sides of the track to give all the families and the kids the illusion that they've traveled up to the North Pole to pick up Santa Claus. Now, over the course of the years, the Great Smokey Mountain Railroad has been involved in the making of several motion pictures. Now, one of these motion pictures was actually filmed here in Whittier back in 1996. Portions of the movie My Fellow Americans, starring Jack Lemmon, James Garner, and Dan Aykroyd, was actually filmed here on this line using our Redneck. Now, there was a scene in the movie, for those of you that may have watched it, where James Garner actually threw Jack Lemmon off of the back of a moving train. And that was our train, and that was this field that we're going through right now. And two pieces of equipment used in that movie is actually on our train today. The Crescent Crown Car and the Royal Palm Crown Car, they're both used in the making of that motion picture. Now, as soon as we go through Whittier, we'll be coming out to an area known as Shelton Farms, also in a community known as Thomas Valley. And for the next few miles, you guys will be able to sit back and relax and just view the countryside and some of the farmland that Western North Carolina has in this area.
Old wood. Burn down in about 2 seconds. Old wood and it's so dry.
In the 1880s, using convict labor. Now, this tunnel was
Going through a tunnel.
Pickaxes, shovels, crude explosives, things like that. It was all manual labor, and the walls in the tunnel was just cleared out wide enough to get a train by, and it's still like that today. The walls in our tunnel only clear the train by about 5 to 6 inches on either side. So for your personal safety, as a reminder, please keep your head, arms, and hands inside the train as we go through this tunnel. We also do ask that you please remain where you are on the train. Don't try to walk through the train or anything like that when we go through this tunnel. This tunnel does have a slight curve in the middle of the tunnel, which creates total darkness. You're not going to be able to see anything in front of you or around you for about 90 seconds. So please remain in the car that you're on until we exit the tunnel.
90 seconds. Isn't that 2 minutes?
Now, as we get closer towards the tunnel, our engineer will give a signal from the air horns in our diesel unit to warn those around the tunnel that we are preparing to enter. Then once we exit the tunnel, we'll be on our way into downtown Dillsboro, and once again crossing over the Concessions River.
Yep, this is it. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Here we Oh. That's the only light right there. I don't even know what I think it's here. Oh, there's a blue light. Look at that. That was crazy.
Couldn't take no picture of that.
And now we're immediately going to go over a bridge. Hey, look at that. Masterpiece.
Alrighty, folks, now we're on our final approach into Dillsboro, North Carolina for our layover break. Now here very shortly on what is now the right-hand side of our train and our direction of travel, you're going to get to view parts of for the largest full-scale train wreck ever produced in the United States by the motion picture industry was ever produced. Now this took place on a cold February morning in 1993. This movie starred Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, and it was known as The Fugitive. For those of you that may have seen that movie before, there was a scene in the movie where a prison bus was hit by a freight train in the middle of the night. That entire train wreck scene was filmed here on our railroad, and remnants of the train wreck is still visible on the right-hand side. The two engines used in that movie, as well as one of the prison buses, are still on display here. Now, Warner Brothers said it took 10 weeks to plan, 60 seconds to execute, and only one shot to take it in during this entire scene. Now, unfortunately, over the last several months, our train wreck site has become the victim of some unfortunate vandalism, but our crews here at the railroad have been working diligently over the last several months cleaning up the messes that they made. Now, as soon as we pass by the wreck site, we will be going through our main railroad shop facility. Now, this is one of all the mechanical upkeep, cosmetic work, restoration work, overhauls, you name it, on all of our cars, our diesel locomotives, and our 1942 steam engine, number 1702, are all carried out here at this location.
The river gets pretty more rough, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks better now.
Now, our steam shop facility is going to be on the right-hand side. Now, our 1702 steam engine is out of service this week, going through routine maintenance and inspection, but we do have to follow the guidelines on that. And sometimes, depending on the time of the day, you can actually get a little sneak peek of the steam engine sitting inside the steam shop facility when we go by it.
And there it is. There it is. That's what I've been waiting for. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Now at this time, folks, we will be arriving in Dillsboro shortly. So before I go any further, I do want to give you guys the most important piece of information you folks need to know.
That's the highlight of the video.
And that is the time you must be back on board this train by. I need everybody to be back on board this train and in your seats no later than 3:45 p.m. 3:45.
Look at those cliffs up there.
3:45 is also going to be our departure time. So at 3:45, I am going to be closing all of our boarding stations up, and we are going to leave immediately to go back to Bryson City. Please keep up with your time and keep track of your time to ensure you're back on board the train before 3:45 this afternoon. If you want to set your time with the conductor's watch, my watch now is 2:12 p.m.
That's so
2:12. Please make sure your timepiece is reasonably close to mine, because my watch is what we're going to use to go by this afternoon when we leave to head back to Bryson City. So once again, everybody must be back on board and seated before 3:45 this afternoon.
Look at those cliffs. I wonder what all that is.
That's the train repair yard.
No, not that. Way up there. Those cliffs.
Now, when we arrive up here in Dillsboro, our attendants will open up the boarding stations. You will be free to deboard the train. We are going to use the same 3 boarding stations that we used earlier today in Bryson City. Please only deboard and reboard the train at your assigned boarding station, unless you're otherwise instructed to do so by a member of our staff. Now, as I said earlier, everything here in Dillsboro, as far as your shopping and dining, is going to be on the left-hand side of our train in our direction of travel. So when you deboard the train, you are going to have to walk to the end of the train and walk around the train, utilizing the crosswalks to get into the main part of downtown Dillsboro. Now, folks, as a safety reminder, please be aware that this is a live town. These roads are active, so please utilize the crosswalks. And of course, as always, please look both ways before crossing the roads here in Dillsboro. Now, some of your dining options here in Dillsboro, one of which is going to be Haywood Smokehouse, which is a family-owned and operated barbecue business specializing in ribs, brisket, pulled pork, chicken, so on and so forth. Now that is going to be 1 block up from our train. Now also in that same block is going to be Costa's, which is a family-owned and operated restaurant that specializes in Greek, Mediterranean, and Italian comfort dishes. And both of those, like I said, will be 1 block directly up from where our train is going to be parked at. Now right next to our train will be the Rnr Tavern, which is a sports pub and restaurant, as well as Forager's Canteen, which is a family-owned and operated farm-to-table restaurant. Now, all of these restaurants are sit-down style restaurants, so if you choose to dine at one of these establishments, please let the host know that you are a train passenger and you need to be back before 3:45. This way they can make an attempt to accommodate you and find you a table and get you seated in a timely fashion. We will not hold the train for any restaurant traffic or any passengers waiting on restaurant traffic, so please make sure you pass that on to the host that you are a passenger on the train. Now there are several craft stores, gift shops here, locally owned and operated, that's going to be open and available to you. Now, alcoholic beverages on board the train can only be consumed on board the train. You cannot take alcohol off the train, as the town of Dillsboro does have an open container law that they do have to go by. Likewise, if you purchase alcohol here in Dillsboro, you cannot bring it back on the train with you. Now, our concessions on the Chessie Caboose will be closed the first 30 minutes of our break. So at this time, our concessions on the Chessie is now closed. They will reopen at 2:50 p.m. So they will reopen in approximately 30 to 35 minutes. Now everybody enjoy your time here in Dillsboro, and please once again, remember that time you must be back on board the train by. Once again, everybody back on board and seated before 3:45 this afternoon. At 3:45 we will be closing all of our boarding stations, and we will immediately be leaving to go back to Bryson City. We do have to stay on schedule, so as a result, I will leave on time to go back to Bryson this afternoon. We will not hold up the train for anybody that is not back on board, nor will the train stop once we begin moving for anybody that is not back on board. So if you plan on going back with us this afternoon, please be back on board before 3:45. Everybody enjoy your layover break. We'll see you back on board for the return trip.
This is a good town. Man, I just realized I've been recording this for 12 minutes. Jeez. Okay.
Take this route. This Tony route.
That's fine. Why you keep... Never mind. Wait, I'll wait for talk. It's okay.
Put this between y'all. Roll the ends up. Roll the ends up. Hey, y'all too late. Y'all missed the boat.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back on board. Hope everybody enjoyed their stay in Dillsboro today. We've got about an hour to 10 to hour 15-minute ride back to Bryson City. Now here in a little bit, we'll be going back through our railroad shop facility, then passing back along the Fugitive wreck site, which will now be on the left-hand side of our train in our direction of travel. Crossing back over the Tuckasegee River and then back into that long, dark Cowie Tunnel. We should be arriving back in Bryson City somewhere around 5 o'clock this afternoon. So in the meantime, folks, y'all to sit back, relax, and enjoy the return trip. And folks, as we make our way along, my staff on the concessions on the chassis, number one, they are back open for the next little bit. And she does have some popcorn, but she just fresh made, so if anybody wants any popcorn, we do have popcorn available for sale.
Okay.
Okay, anyway. So, got a hotel now. Yeah, we got a hotel. So I guess I can just kind of do a tour of the whole place now. Got a table and a lamp. We got a fridge and a microwave. This table here. Couch that should be on the wall over there. We moved it. Painting. Air conditioner. Another lamp. Walk in here. We got another chair. TV. Pizza. Don't worry about that. Cabinets and stuff. This sink, closet, bathroom, mirror, beds. Hey, look, more paintings. And then that's the outside, but that's gonna be a tomorrow thing. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because that's always important. If you like the video, of course, you know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and see you next time. Yeah.